This camera was great, and I would highly recommend this camera to anybody, whether you're a beginner or not. I had a great time shooting with this camera.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Prime Focus, the podcast where I do a deep dive and get in the minds of other photographers. And this week, after many years of talking on Instagram but never speaking face to face, I'm here with Evan Bulber. How's it going, buddy?
Very good. Very good. How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm so glad to have you on. I'm going to give people like a really basic history of how we met. And I'm pretty sure it was like around the time of, I don't know for you, but for me, it was like I just basically started my page.
Yeah.
So this was like years ago. And I think either you had done it a little while before me, or it was like still quite fresh for you.
It was still very fresh. Who knows? I don't remember the exact date. Yeah. So somehow the algorithm put us together.
Yeah.
And it worked out great.
It's madness. And then, yeah, just the way the internet works. And you were in America, then you were in Spain, now you're back in America. Mm-hmm. And we've never managed to lock it in until now. And we're going to record it so everyone can see our first ever proper interaction.
Yeah. Perfect. I think it'll be great.
Me too. Okay. So for the people out there watching that don't know you, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So, I live in Minneapolis in Minnesota here in the US. And I've been a photographer for really, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think very, very long, started 2022, I want to say, right? About the same time as you did.
Yeah. I think mine was like late 2021. Yeah. So that would work out. Yeah.
Around that same time frame. And I really photography was always something that was very attractive to me. And but I had never really gone for it. My dad was a photographer for a while growing up. And it was just something that seemed cool, very cool art form that was realistic to me. My mom's a painter, and a lot of people in my family are artists and musicians. I'm a musician as well. So once I finally kind of got in and tried it, it was just like the perfect mesh of like creativity for me, because I don't have like the steady hand that's required for painting or drawing or anything like that. Music was one thing, but getting to do photography and having visual art become a medium was game changing for me. So I actually I didn't start like on accident, but I started kind of on happenstance. By happenstance, I was working a job, and this guy that I knew at that job was a photographer. His name was Macklin. He's a very, very good photographer. And I had noted, we had kind of bonded over a couple of things, and watches, photography, music, stuff like that, cars. Yeah. And I was like, man, I really kind of want to try it. I want to get into it. And I asked him for a suggestion for like what I should get for my first camera. I had no idea where to start. I've never been the picture of brilliance when it comes to like tech and the latest stuff and what works and what doesn't for me. Yeah. And he basically kind of like got me set up. He sent me a Facebook Marketplace ad for this guy right here. This is the Nikon D3400, or Nikon for you guys over there. Yeah. This was my workhorse for a long time, up until very recently, honestly. And he sent me this, and it came with a couple of kit lenses that weren't really, that great, but they worked for the time. And he also sent me another Facebook Marketplace ad for this guy right here. Little guy, a little 35 millimeter prime. And I was off. Like, this was my entire setup for 3 years, almost 3.5 years. That's pretty much all I used. I just love it. I mean, any opportunity that I can get to go out and shoot, I try to take. Here in Minneapolis, it's a bit challenging because if you don't know, it's very cold here in the wintertime. It's January right now. I just pulled up the temperature in Celsius on my phone. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's minus 18 Celsius outside. Oh. Bunch of snow on the ground. Jesus. It's chilly. So wintertime makes it difficult, but, you find ways around.
Yeah, I mean, it's cold here, but it's like 7 degrees Celsius. Yeah. So quite a big difference. I'm in a t-shirt and I'm good with it. I just went out for a walk in a t-shirt and just a jacket and I was good. I like
Yeah.
that we have I think we have like briefly spoken about before, but I like that we have like a similar personal connection to how photography works for us. We're like also a musician, like it's a kind of part-time job for me, like, and this side of my room is just guitars on the wall. There's an amp down here that no one can see, and I have tried painting. My aunt was a painter. I'm going to say better than the average human that tries it, but nowhere near good enough to ever say I could paint.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, it for me, if I'd painted the best thing ever, it would have looked like a good painter had used just their left hand. But
Yeah.
it wasn't.
One
It
eye
was never
closed.
going to be a thing.
Yeah. My
Um,
mom actually, like, she surprised me with like a wonderful gift. I should have brought him, but for Christmas this year, she took like 3 or 4 of my photos that I had taken, I guess that were her favorite, and
yeah,
she like hand painted them and made like 50 copies of each, and they're like cards that you can send people in the mail, like, you
that's
can
amazing.
postcard kind of. And it just like totally destroyed the actual, not destroyed, but just she like blew me out of the water with like talent
Yeah,
wise,
yeah,
you know.
that's
Just like,
amazing.
yeah. Oh, it's the best.
Like I was the same as you. As soon as I kind of like got a camera, and like I'd always been interested in it, like always any form of like arts, I have like an interest in. Um, and I was like, I'm just gonna give it a try. Got my first camera, and yeah, now I have a podcast on a YouTube channel that I run.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So
you just ran with it. You started to do the whole thing. It's been amazing to see.
it's been fun. Yeah, thanks. Like I just I've said a million times on here, but the reason I started is just because I was like, this might not go anywhere, but like, wouldn't it be fun if it does? And I got to document that journey.
Yeah.
And like, I'm still nowhere really into the journey. I still have a very long journey ahead, but like, it's cool that I can look back and be like, wow, I remember when I took this photo and I was so happy with it. And now I look at it and I'm like, wow, that's horrendous. But isn't it cool that I loved it?
Yeah. Yeah. And two things there. I think first off, the documentation thing is still one of the biggest things for me, especially when I'm doing sort of I don't know if I would call it street photography, but like whenever I've traveled, I've been very lucky to travel quite a bit. And I always try to bring my camera with me, and just trying to, it has completely changed the way that I travel, because now um, I can just know exactly where I was. I even remember, you know how it is when you're taking photos. You remember like what you were thinking about, and like things that were on your mind when you took
Yeah.
that photo, and what was going on, and like the situation, and all of those things. So that's part of what I really love about it. And when I don't flip through all my photos really that often, but when I do, especially my travel photos, that's my favorite thing about it. Um, it's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like, and I don't know if you'll agree, but I feel like now I started this with a video that I did in the Isle of Wight like last year.
Mhm.
I want to go back to places that I loved, but I wasn't like into photography at the time,
Yeah.
because I can just see in my head all these memories of being like all the photos I could have got in those places.
Yeah.
And if I don't go back, I think it might drive me just like a little bit insane,
Yeah.
because I need to go back and capture them and be like, now I have a tangible evidence of like the thing that I did, and I went and like I managed to create and like make some art there
Yeah.
of my own like kind of visuals.
100%.
Um,
I think my time in Spain was very lucky, that I actually got to do that. I got to go back to a lot of places that I had been before, a lot of cities and a lot of countries in Europe, but this time I really got to create something, and just create some incredible memories. Obviously, with the people I was with, but just like the media aspect of it, and having, I swipe through my phone, I have real memories of like art that I made while I was there. And then
yeah.
like you said about the pictures that, you thought were great in the moment, and then you look back now and you're like, what is that? Same thing. Like I've gone back and just completely re-edited some pictures that I've taken
Hmm.
from previous
Yeah.
trips and reposted them, just so I can be like, okay, I'm better now. Here's what this should actually look like. without everything just blown out.
So
Yeah.
here's some proof of my growth. Okay,
Yes.
I've got better. Here's the proof.
I promise I'm getting better. It feels like that anyway.
So you mentioned that you were using the Nikon up until recently. So what are you using now? Like, what's your current setup?
Still Nikon,
Okay.
but the Z52. I
Okay.
got this one some months ago, I think in the summertime. Yes, in the summertime. Because I mean it was time for an upgrade. This camera was great, and I would highly recommend this camera to anybody, whether you're a beginner or not. I had a great time shooting with this camera. It's not like the most professional thing, but it really did the job for me. But at the time, last summer, I had really gotten into sports photography. I played sports all my life. I adore sport. It's my favorite thing. And I had I was able to get a media credential to shoot some baseball games here in town, some professional baseball games, not like Major League Baseball or anything like that, but AAA, which basically, if you compare it to like the EFL pyramid, it's basically like the championship. It's the level right below, the
Okay.
top level. So
Yeah.
I had gotten a pass to shoot a bunch of those games, and so I did, and I brought this guy and that 35 millimeter prime lens, and after about 2 games, it was like, what am I even doing? It can't be done.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a crazy setup for
was
a
not,
sport game.
I don't know what I was thinking, but it was all I had. So then I got this one, you're able to, you know, shoot a bunch of pictures at one time. This one you can't.
Yeah.
And I got some bigger lenses. I ended up getting this guy right here, little 70 to 200. Um,
Nice.
I got this, and I just bumped up my setup. This is my, I guess, sports setup. When I go out and do street photography, and whenever I travel, I still pretty much exclusively use this guy. Maybe I'll bring this guy, a little 17 to 50.
Mm-hmm.
This is great, but personally, I just prefer prime lenses.
I think everyone, not everyone, but I think a lot of people start not sure of prime lenses.
Yeah,
And everyone thinks like I need more like range, I need more focal length to work with because like what if I'm not in the right place and I can't get to the right place? And I think for like the first year, I don't think I owned a single prime for the first like year,
yeah,
and I was just like, this is just how photography should work. Look at these idiots using prime lenses. What's wrong with them? I could just spend more and get like an f2 or an f2.8 like zoomy boy, and everything will be fine. And then I got hold of, I think I brought the 80, well, it was the 85 equivalent. So I think it was a 56 mil. And then on my A6000, it was 85. Went to London one evening, just shot with that. I was like, maybe I get it. And then I got a 50 when I moved to the full frame. And I was like, no, I like it around here. And now I just kind of know that like somewhere between 35 and 50 is like my comfort zone now. I still have a 70 to 300, which I love. And it's great if I want to go shoot anything that would be sports related or like if I want to go shoot some wildlife stuff. It's nothing amazing. It's, I think, like the best you can get aperture wise, like f3.5. And that's not even throughout. It's like 3.5 to 6.3. But like it does the job for the few times I need it. But now, yeah, I'm a Prime boy now. It's weird. I don't
yeah.
really. I have the
It's the
kit lens still, but I got given the kit lens for free, so I'm like, I'm not going to get rid of it.
Why would you? Totally. Um, yeah, I got a 70 to 300 as well. I don't have it with me; it's in my apartment. But I started also shooting hockey games this year, and
Yeah, I saw a few of them recently, actually.
yeah, I mean, wintertime here in Minnesota. If you don't know, or if anybody doesn't know, Minnesota is like they call it the state of hockey. It's basically like the capital of ice hockey um, in the United States. It's between here and like Massachusetts is very popular. I mean, Canada is obviously sort of the mecca for that sort of thing, but here in Minnesota, we very much hold our own. So there's a lot of hockey here in the wintertime. And if you want to shoot sports in the wintertime, it's pretty much going to be either basketball or hockey for the most part. So I prefer hockey, but I got that 70 to 300, and even that wasn't like sharp enough. It wasn't. It was F4, I think F4,
Hmm.
uh, and it even that wasn't, because hockey's so fast, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, so I just went for it and paying off the 70 to 200 month by month here.
Yeah, makes sense.
Slowly
Makes
but
sense.
surely, we'll do it.
Yeah, I was thinking about this before the before we started this conversation. Like, I was thinking about like what I've seen you post like over like the 3 years, and
Mhm.
it's been weird because I feel like the style of how you, not so much sports stuff, because I mean, one, by your own admission, that's more of like a recent thing as well, but like looking more at like the street style stuff, it's kind of nice to see that like for me anyway, you may disagree. For me, in my eye, like it looks like the style of how you shoot things, not so much the edit, because obviously that's kind of always changing. There'll be some similarities, but it changes. The style of how you shoot things and like the thing you're looking for, it feels like that hasn't like massively changed, which is nice to see. Because like for me, I found that I didn't have a clue what I was looking for like 2 years, and then it's only if you look back over the last like year of my work that maybe it kind of like is a bit like cohesive. But I
Yeah,
was thinking back over it, and I was like, I think obviously maybe not in the first like year of stuff because you're kind of like finding who you are
yeah,
as a photographer. Um,
right.
but it's quite nice to see that like it seems, and again, tell me if I'm entirely wrong, but it kind of seems like you got your eye for like what you like shooting, and I like earlier than I did.
Maybe so. I think I like shooting. This sounds odd, but I like shooting when I'm in street photography. Sports completely different, but um, I like capturing images where there's honestly like not really a lot going on. Um, I realized I lived in Spain for 2 years, and the first I lived in two cities. The first city I lived in was called Castellon, and then I moved to Madrid. Madrid's a whole other different thing, But the first city, Castellon, was a bit sleepier. It's in Valencia, and it's right on the beach, and all the crazy tourism hasn't quite gotten there yet, thankfully. But what they still very much embrace there is the siesta, which means from, you know 2 to 3 hours a day, there's nothing going on. Shops are closed. People are chilling out. A lot of people aren't working. Um, and the streets are really quiet. And that was my chance to go out and capture like um, the occasional person that would be walking by, or um, the empty street but filled with this gorgeous Spanish architecture with their big wrought iron balconies and massive cathedrals and things like that. Stuff like that. Very quickly, I realized that I loved taking pictures like that. Um, and I think that that's kind of, you're right. That's still sort of a type of thing that I like to shoot. I like to shoot, um, scenes where there may not be a bunch of people in the scene, but if there are people in the scene, there's they're likely on the move doing something, and they're in like this big setting, this
Yeah,
big and Spanish street or plaza, or um I one of the pictures I was wrestling with for the three pictures was a picture I got in Iceland last year, where there's this big where it's this kind of big open bay, and it's just like dotted with little icebergs and stuff, and there's
yeah.
just this one guy on a motorboat, who's just kind of trolling along, but it's like this grand huge thing, but there's just the one guy. I like that stuff.
It feels like I think I feel like I have two things on this. The one I will forget, I'll say first. It feels kind of like that your subject when you take a shot is more about showing like the architecture and like the landscape you're in and like the grandness of the place you're in, And if there are people there, that's great because it can add for scale and for other things, but it isn't like that's not what you're looking for, which brings me on to point two. That's not too dissimilar for like what I've kind of realized is what I shoot, which is like Paige from a few episodes before said it perfectly. It was like the calm in the storm. So like I'm often looking for like quiet moments where like one or two people are having like this nice moment in an otherwise either really busy or like built up architectural place where you never see these quiet little moments.
Yes.
And so I
Yeah.
feel like what we shoot is different in what our subject is, but kind of similar in like what kind of outcome we're looking for. We're never looking for that really busy image. We want to capture the slowed down, more quiet moments. It's just that your subject is the place you are, and my subject is the people that are in that place.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I think Popsis got to me very quickly
Mm-hmm.
in my photography journey. I think James Popsis, by far my favorite photographer in any style. He's just my favorite. He does that sort of thing. So I caught on to his work very early on, and just I saw that and I was like, I want to do that and figure out how to do it in my own way. And then I think you absolutely nailed your own style. Um, flipping through Instagram and flipping through the pictures every day when I see you post something new. I think you absolutely nailed that. Where um, it's chaos. You could be in somewhere crazy in London. I mean, like fresh outside of a tube station or something like that. And there, I don't know, two people are having like a heated chat or something like that, or like a real conversation on like a park bench where there's people going around, but they're looking at each other. It's great.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I feel like I don't know. I'm literally on my story right now. I don't know if you saw it, but I posted like just 3 shots from like a photo walk a couple of weeks back, and one of those shots, which was literally a happy accident, but I feel like that shot like symbolizes exactly what I want in one photo. It's just 2 people on a bench looking out over the Thames, just like a couple, and then where I shot it at a very slight, like a slightly slow shutter speed because I was shooting on like my old X100s, like 15 years old. So as soon as it like gets at all dark, it's just like I can't go fast anymore. Like
Over
you
it.
can just deal with it.
Yeah.
Um, it was shot like handheld at like I don't know, maybe like a 20th of a second, somewhere around that range. And so everyone else is just very slightly blurred. Like still you can see their people, but just a very, very slight movement blur. And those 2 people just didn't move. And it was like it perfectly represented for me like what I it was like I was done. It was like I'd found like the thing that I'm always trying to shoot.
Perfect.
Move on
Yeah.
to
I did
novel.
it. I can retire. I can
Yeah.
move on to whatever
Yeah.
next. Yeah.
I've completed photography.
Yeah. I did it. Great.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. See you later.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah, thank you. I feel like it took me ages to kind of figure out like what I wanted to do, or like what I was. I was always taking photos that were like that, but I didn't really know why I was taking them, if that makes sense. And then out of nowhere, one day I was like, "Oh, I think I know what all my photos have in them now. I've only taken like thousands and didn't know why."
Yeah.
And I
Exactly.
felt like got that. I kind of know what I'm looking for when I travel now, and like that's I do more like documentary kind of style stuff when I'm
Yeah.
away. Like, but that's like more for me. So yeah, it's weird. You take a while to like get your eye in when you might have been shooting the photos you like for a year, but you just no idea where you're taking them. It's
Yeah.
mad.
It took a long time for me to realize that I what I love is the place
Mhm.
where I am. And I mean I suppose that is travel photography, that's what it's all about. But um documenting the place and where it is in time in that moment is I've always thought that that's super, super cool. Um so yeah, like I said, really lucky to travel. I've gotten to travel a fair amount, and what matters to me, whether I'm like in Europe, in Spain, or something like that, or lately here. I mean, maybe not lately because it's so cold here, but in the summer and in the fall here in Minnesota, it's gorgeous. It's The nature is unbelievable. They call it the land of 10,000 lakes. There's lakes everywhere. I can see one right now where I am. They're literally everywhere. And there's just gorgeous forests and woodlands, and there's hills, and um, it's unbelievable. And there's also really, really cool small towns. I live in Minneapolis. You know, it's a big city.
Yeah.
Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities. But you kind of dotted all over the state. It's a big state. There's a lot of really, really cool old small towns where like not a lot has changed in the previous decades. And what I love is driving around the state and introducing a new guy here. This is a film camera my girlfriend got me for my birthday last year,
Hmm.
and just taking this
Nice.
and
Is that an
just
Olympus?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Olympus OM2.
Nice.
She nailed it. She's the best. She hasn't really done photography, but she did a lot of research into what would be a good like first film camera, and she absolutely nailed it. But driving around Minnesota, and it's still about the place where you are, and um, getting like a picture of this giant cart filled with hay 5 hours north of here in a town of like 200 people, or it might be kind of basic for film photography, but you know what? Damn it, a gas station looks great. A gas station in the middle of nowhere on film looks amazing. So
Yeah.
stuff like that, I really love doing. But it's
Yeah.
about the place where I am and
Yeah.
showing
That makes.
people who may not have ever seen it, stuff like that,
Yeah.
or a really small towns like high school football field. Um, like being in Europe for a couple of years made me really miss sort of you miss what you don't have. So I sort of missed like the very Americana type of beautiful stuff that we have here.
Hmm.
And there's a Minnesota's right on Lake Superior, one of the Great Lakes. Lake Superior might be the biggest lake in the world. I'm not sure, but it's up there. It's huge. Um, and there's the state kind of wraps around it, like the northern part of it wraps around it, sort of like how Norway wraps around Sweden,
Yeah.
and they call that the North Shore, and it's just makes sense. And that drive on the North Shore is just dotted with these tiny little towns right on the lake, and they're just beautiful. And I remember there's this one town, I think it's called Two Harbors, really tiny town, and not really a lot going on, but it's a big like touristy town. People go up to the lake and on the beach and things like that.
Yeah.
And there's this right on the lake shore. There was this picture. There was this football field, American football field, with like in American football they have the goalposts. One of the goalposts was all rusted out and like leaning over to the side, and they had this really old scoreboard, like 50, 60 year old scoreboard, and I was just like, my God, that's perfect. So I like I turned around, pulled the car over in the rain, and brought out my film camera because I had to do it.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah. I think film is wonderful for that. Like
Yeah.
I I was like before always thinking, oh, maybe I'll dabble in film. Now I always have film in the fridge. I have
Yeah.
3 film cameras, and I class myself as like kind of moving into like a hybrid shooter. A lot of the videos I do and a lot of like the photo walks and stuff, I still shoot digital because it's nice to be able to sit with the people you've been shooting with and like go through photos together.
Mm.
I've been on some film walks. I have a film walk potentially coming up later this year, and like I don't really often. I have a really weird range of film cameras. I have like a folding bellows camera from 1954, which shoots medium format. It's sick, but if the light isn't exactly what it needs, it can't do shit. Um, and then I have like a little point and shoot Olympus. No, a Canon that shoots at 40 or 70 mil, and like everything else is just auto. But it's got a good range of aperture, and it's pretty good with its exposure. It doesn't it's slightly overexposure, but it's not too bad. And it's good. It's got a good range of shutter speeds, all built into something that's quite like small and just meant to be a point and shoot. and then I have a proper SLR, which really doesn't get used now that I have this little point and shoot. But I get exactly what you're talking about, because sometimes me and Sarah will just be going away for a weekend, and I I want something that I can like I can envision how it's going to look. I use really similar. I know all the film stocks I like using. I often use Ultramax 400 because it's a basic bitch film, but I like how things come
It
out. It's
works.
pretty. It's pretty like solid. Like it doesn't overexpose when it's too bright, and because it's 400, like it can handle slightly lower light to a point, so you can kind of like use it across the day and know that you're pretty safe. And I will do the same thing. Like if I'm driving or Sarah's driving, and I see something, I'm like, we need to stop.
Mhm.
Or we'll just be out and about in town. I'm like, we need to stop everything we're doing. I've seen a thing over there. I need to go and shoot it. And the nice thing about it is that it doesn't interrupt your day like a digital camera does. Because I don't know about you, but if I'm away and I take my digital camera, the moment I get back to the hotel, I'm like putting those photos on my phone so I can look at them in Lightroom and play around with them. And
You
suddenly
got
my other half's like,
photos you got to look at now.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then my other half's like, hey, I've showered and I'm ready to go to dinner. And I'm like, oh, I haven't done any of that because
Yeah.
I've been messing around with photos. Whereas with film, you just like, cool, I took some photos today, put the film camera down, and then you just go and do your stuff.
Because film slows you down,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when during the action of taking the picture. But
Yeah.
after that, I mean, depending on how many rolls you have, you might have 20 exposures for your day or for your weekend, and like that's it. Good luck.
Yeah.
Hope it came
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
You'll find out in a week that uh, oh, I'm actually shit at this. Okay, great.
Yeah. I have no
I
idea what
can,
I'm doing.
yeah, here goes another $50. Thanks. If I could shoot film all the time, I think I would. I would really love to. It's
Yeah,
so just feels good,
it does. It's a completely different feeling. And like I think it makes your digital shooting better because you think about it more. So like you can make decisions quicker, and you put more time into the thought of pressing that shutter, because not if you just shoot like one roll a year. That's no, it's not going to do a thing. But if
Right.
you occasionally enjoy a film, or you're shooting like a roll a month even, you can start to be like treating your digital camera as a film camera. And like I definitely have, because I unless I'm doing like a panning shot, I never use any form of like high burst rate or fast shutters. Like it's just straight off, press it once, maybe I'll retake the photo if I really like it and I move on. And I'll come back from like London and chat to other guys, and they'll be like, oh, I took like 200 photos today. I'm like, no, but how many did you actually take? Because I'm guessing that every like shot was like 4 or 5 shots.
Exactly.
And I'll come back and I'm like, I took like 50 or 60 photos from a
Mhm.
whole day. And I'll look through and be like, cool, I'm pretty happy with most of them. A few can go. And
Yeah.
it saves you so much time. And I love that aspect of kind of thinking about your photography, all just because you are using a medium that nearly died out. And thank God it didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank God, indeed. It's really, like you said, kind of changed the way that I do it, and everything from like the whole process is so just satisfying. Right now, it's messed up, so I can't crank the thing. But the process of cranking it and like really paying attention to the shot that you're doing, the aspect of not having the camera doing everything for you is a great teacher, and it's so like satisfying, especially if a shot comes out really good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That is a big ego boost for you.
100%. I like, and I mean, I want to jump onto talking of photos, looking at your photos in a second. But the last thing I'll say is, I think the biggest time I had with that was when I found this camera for like £20, and it was like I was like, I don't know if there's holes in the bellows or anything, and I bought 2 rolls of medium format. I was getting 12 shots a roll, and I just went to like a local like National Trust house and gardens and stuff, and just walked around and just shot them. And I was like, I have no idea if any of that have worked out. Like I used a light meter on my phone to figure out just how horrendous it was going to be overly exposed. I was shooting like gold 200. It was a warm day, a sunny day. I should have got like a 160 or something to try and make it a bit better. I was doing everything I could. At one point, I'm pretty sure I like nearly took a photo like through my sunglasses just to like try and make it better. But basically, yeah,
That's a
the
good idea.
camera.
I've never thought about that.
Yeah, I often call sunglasses just human NDs.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Genius.
but like I remember at first I was like, the camera just has two settings, right? F11 or F16, and that's it. They are the only things you can change.
Mhm.
And I pretty much took everything at F16 just to try and not overexpose the absolute hell out of it.
Yeah.
But getting that film back, because I had no expectation, I was like, I had to take the camera apart, clean like proper like fungus and stuff out of the viewfinder, everything. I was like, there's no way this comes out well. Like it's like 70, nearly 70, 75 years old. Like it's not going to work. But if I get anything, wouldn't that be cool? And they came out so much better than expected. And like some of them are photos that I like really like. And if I'd got them on like any other camera, I still would have been happy. And that, I don't know, there's just that feeling of like, it's like a
Yeah.
little tiny Christmas. Like every
Yeah.
time they're like, here's your scans or here's your
Yeah.
prints, you're like, "Ah,
The
yes.
labor of love part
Yeah.
of it, where it's kind of a pain in the ass, um, and like cooking your own meals instead of getting Uber Eats or whatever.
Yeah,
You know?
literally. It's a labor of love and a labor of wallet as well, because
Yes. Yeah.
it is not a cheap thing to do.
My God.
So, talking of photos, let's have a look at the 3 favorite photos that you gave to me.
Mhm.
So, photo number 1, I'm looking at it right here. It is a photo of a silhouette of a man with a fishing rod, beautiful sunset in the background, what looks like potentially a villa up on a mountain.
Mhm.
Talk to me about it. What was going on here? Where was this taken?
That was in San Sebastian in Spain. My most recent trip to Spain that I took. It was my first trip using the new guy, the Z52, and Spain is a place that means quite a lot to me. I've said it a couple of times already. I lived there for 2 years. I got to know it. I got to love it. Um, and it's a place where um, I hold quite a lot of attachment to. I met my girlfriend there. Um, she is American, but we just happened to be living in the same neighborhood in Madrid, and we met. Um, it's I don't know. I can't really put it in words. Like Spain just means everything to me. So I knew I had to put a Spain picture in here. Walking around San Sebastian, it's just gorgeous. Basque Country, north of Spain, on the Atlantic, not on the Mediterranean. So the water's a bit crazier. It's a bit rougher. It's cold, like hardier people up there.
Mhm.
Um, and people got to make a living, like, so people go fishing at night when it's cold, when it's rainy. I can't speak for this guy. He might have been just doing it for his pleasure. I don't know. But like just that image of the sun was going down, and I had never really taken sort of a silhouette shot before.
Mhm.
I had never really tried to do that thing, or if I did, I had tried very few times and it was terrible. So I was just like, let's never do that again. But with this one, it just worked out. And San Sebastian, just such a beautiful city in a beautiful part of the world. Again, this picture, I don't know if it's more about the person or about the place that he's in. Um, but yeah, that was a shot that meant a lot to me just because Spain is a place that means quite a lot to me.
That makes sense.
Really cool.
I think I think the reason the silhouette works quite well is because there is that perfect, like almost diagonal through the entire frame of the ocean, and where that's like so well lit, you're getting like the perfect jagged edges of all the rocks, of what looks like, it looks like a boat, but I'm assuming it's a building on the right hand side. You get the perfect edges of both mountains, which is really nice, just like, or both hills, but like one is just mistier than the other. So there's a proper separation between them. And then you go to that just like gorgeous, like orangey, is that either sunrise or sunset? And like, what's really nice about it is that it's, there's a lot going on, but the image is still simple, if that makes sense. Like, if it
Mhm.
wasn't a silhouette, I think you'd be looking at it and being like, well, there's people over there. This guy's doing this thing. Like, how much can I see of this? What's going on here? With this one, it's just the sun is setting, the water is calm, there's a man fishing, and like they're the things you notice. You
Hmm.
look around it, you see other things, but they are all just lines. There's nothing pulling your focus harder than kind of the three things you're meant to look at, I guess, which is the place, the sunset, and this kind of, for you, I guess, maybe secondary subject of the man standing in the foreground fishing.
Yeah. I think this picture is good too. Um, it just kind of reminded me like how I've kind of changed and uh, hopefully grown as a photographer. And because I used to be about as much detail as possible, I need to
Yeah.
see everything in the picture when I was starting, and I need to see what's going on that mountain. I need to see the whatever the building is on top of it. I need to see like as much light as possible, and obviously that's not always true, you know.
Mhm.
So with this one, just very simple and peaceful. There's a man fishing in the bay, and he could be trying to put food on his table tonight. Could be just having a good time, hanging out. You know, fishing's fun, but
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
100%.
but you know, yeah, it was really cool for me. It was very exciting, just like you said. When you get that one picture, and you're like, okay, I'm good now. Like because I had not really been successful at getting a silhouette shot to that point. It felt really really good, really encouraging. That I had got one that I felt like I pulled off pretty well.
Yeah, you 100% did, and I like, as I kind of briefly mentioned before, but what I think works really well for it as well is if you'd edited it in any other way to try and make that like secondary like hill more in the shot, I don't think it would work, because you look now and you're like, perfect silhouette of the rocks and the guy and the rocks behind him. Then there's like a slight haze and a little less sort of like visible and like texture on that hill across the bay. And then the hill behind that is even more hazy and even less textured. And it gives you like, you can really feel like the depth of the image as you look through it. And I think if you'd edited it in any other way and had tried to pull back that hill at the back to be more textured and more visible, it would be quite flat.
Yeah,
You just have like water running through it and just like everything being perfect. But because there are so many things that like aren't perfectly sharp and show you that kind of like haze off the water, I think that's what makes it like work perfectly well. So good job, sir.
thank you very much.
Okay. I mean I'm never gonna not enjoy this second image because there are two dogs in it. Okay. I was so excited about looking at two dogs. I didn't even notice there was a human in it for like the first 5 minutes of looking at this image. I was like, there's snacks and dogs. Like this is perfect. This also gives a Spain vibe, or at least a Europe vibe.
Yes,
Where are we talking?
we are actually. I know what you mean, but we're actually not in Europe. We're in North Africa in this picture.
Oh wow.
We're
Okay.
in Morocco, um, and this is probably my favorite picture I've taken. This was an absolutely perfect day in Morocco. I was I had flown down there from Valencia. There was a crazy, I mean, like $7 flight or something like that. Like maybe $15 round trip. Like ridiculous. It just does
Yeah.
this, especially nowadays. This just doesn't happen. From Valencia to um, this surfing city in Morocco called Agadir, right on the coast. And I had booked this hostel in this really, really small village outside of Agadir, about 20-ish minutes outside of Agadir, called Tamarack. And it was right on the coast, right on the beach. It was really quiet. I think it was like November or December, but like this whole trip it will live with me forever. It was only like 3 or 4 days. It was a long weekend, and it was during the World Cup, that magic World Cup for Morocco, the last one.
Mhm.
when they beat everybody, beat Portugal, they beat Spain. You know, they just went on this tear, and I was there when Morocco they played Canada, and if they beat Canada, they got knocked into or they got moved into the knockout round for the first time in I think it was 40 something since the 80s or something like that. And I was there when that happened, when they won, and it was pandemonium, you know, like craziness. We were in the hostel and we watched the game. Morocco won. I had made. I went on this trip by myself, but I had made some friends in the hostel, and one of
Yeah.
them was the guy who ran the hostel. And he said, "Get in the car. We're going into town." So what was normally a 15-minute drive took easily an hour because everything with a pulse in like 100-mile radius
Yeah.
was flooding into the city. And I mean, like literally dancing in the street, literally like
Yeah.
in craziness. What's going on? Anyway, this is the day after, and everybody's beat up. I mean, still like happy, but like just worn out from a night.
Yeah.
You know, a night that a lot of people didn't think they would ever see. You
Yeah.
know, um, and so we went to the beach. Everybody's, you know, like their bodies are destroyed from having a good time the night before, and we drove up to this kind of cliff edge that you see in the picture, and there was just this little fruit truck, you know, snacks and fruit and coffee and whatever, and a couple of dogs laying down, and it was just the perfect scene. You can see a girl in the kind of forward or background. Her name's Alex. She became a friend of mine. She's a filmmaker from Belgium, and I don't have too much technically to say. I'm probably when it comes to like the knowledge of technicality and what makes a picture good. Honestly, I'm probably going to be so far the most incompetent person you've had on the show. So I can't speak to you know exactly what makes it work. I knew the moment I took this picture that it was going to be my favorite for a long time. Um, Based on and everybody was just in the best mood, and it just like perfectly summed up that trip. There was a bunch more pictures I got from that trip, and none of them just like kind of just felt as right as this one. You know,
Yeah.
with
Yeah. Yeah.
back there, it was the day was kind of it was in that kind of mid late afternoon siesta time where everybody's extra tired. You know,
Yeah.
and it was just perfect. Yeah.
I've said this. I think I may have said this in every single episode of this podcast so far. But this right here is why I say to people, send me your favorite and not your best.
Yeah.
Because you like, I would much rather someone be like, I don't really know why this is a good photo, but here's the story and here's why I just fucking love it. And like, that's way cooler to hear. Like, and you learn way more about like a person rather than just their photography, like through those stories. And also, it's fun for me because then I get to tell people why I love the photo. And so far, I haven't had to say to someone, I don't really like this one, which is helpful because that's going to be a really awkward time when that first happens.
Yeah.
But like, I there's so many things I love about this photo. One, I think you framed it perfectly. Like, I don't know. I think if I had been in the same situation, the most I would have changed is maybe have taken like a slight step back to get like the top of the roof in and a little bit of gap by the person. But like, other than that, like, just chef's kiss. Like, it's so good. And it's also nice that you took this after you realized that not everything needs to be like perfectly in focus and sharp and like textured and everything. Because again, this is one of those photos where if you'd shot it like that and that background of the water and like the haze on the two different hills, if that had been the same as the foreground, the photo would just not work. It'd be
Yeah.
really flat. But like it gives you that perception of just how far away things are and that you're up high and you're looking down at things. I also love this. Both these things are dog related,
Yeah.
technically, but the dogs are, because they're facing the same way, they are almost a leading line to pointing out that there is a person in the photo.
Yes. Yes.
And I love that the more sand colored dog is in the darker patch and the darker dog is in the lighter patch. And I think if they had, the image would have still worked if it had been the other way around. but you can see both dogs clearer and they stand out more in the image because the black dog isn't in the shadow and the sand colored dog isn't on the bright sand. And so, like, obviously, that's not a thing you can just sort out without picking up to what I assume are stray dogs and moving them.
Yeah,
But like, it's just one of those lucks where you just like, you can frame having the dogs point to the person, but you can't make sure the right dog is in the right place.
yeah,
So
yep.
you
The
lucked
dogs are the
out on
stars
that.
of the show here for sure. Um, yeah, I mean, it just that photo really warms me up every time I see it. Um, and like the brightness of the colors, I wanted to keep that because it was very bright in the truck with the fruit and the little crates and everything, and it was just such a the truck being clearly pretty old and they'd gotten quite a lot of use out of that truck. Um, you know, they've probably that person in that truck. There's a good chance they've uh, been there for a lot of really fun summer memories for some kids, in that area or
Yeah,
something like an ice cream
yeah,
truck,
yeah,
something like that. So I love stuff like that. Um, the I will say the one technicality thing that I did recognize as soon as it was shot was that leading line thing, but I never noticed until you just mentioned it about the colors of the dogs and the contrast of the light one being in the dark and the dark one being in the sunlight. Yeah, I never noticed that. Wow.
This is why I love doing this. Like, there's the episode you've gone through to the Elliot episode in the past. The next one I think is with Eric, maybe, or Paige. I don't know. But in the episode I do with Eric, which is like he's a really talented guy, and we're hopefully going out on a shoot soon. Like, there's a photo, I won't spoil it, but there's a photo he shoots where like half the image is in kind of like black and the other half is kind of in white. And it's a fully black and white image. And the guy that's doing the action has different tools with him. And one of the like the entire image, everything that's on the dark side is his lighter tools, and everything that's on the white side is his darker tools. And that
Mhm.
goes down to paint level and everything. And there was a few things I pointed out to Eric then. And he was just like, I have never seen that. And I
Yeah,
was just like, this is what's so much fun is that like I'm seeing these for the first time. And it's nice to be able to point things out to people that have looked over their images so many times and just you see it every time and you might pick out little things, but obviously eventually you know your image. So you're
yeah,
not going to pick up all the new things all the time. One of the other things I was going to say is I think the truck itself being like majoritively just other than like the little bits of rust, like just white is
yeah,
what makes this image work as well. Because then you get small pops of color everywhere, but nothing is like pulling you away from looking at the rest of the scene. And I think like that just again, it's not something that you can plan, but it is really nice when it works out the way that it has worked out.
yep, yep, 100%. Couldn't have worked out better.
No.
I just love that picture. Yeah.
And I like that you. I don't know if how it was naturally, but you've definitely done a James Popsis with the sky and just hazed the hell out of it.
Yep, yep. Just I used to do the complete opposite, which now when I look at those pictures, I'm like, what the fuck?
Everyone,
Like,
every single
oh
person
my
used to
god,
do that. Yeah.
what am I thinking? As much detail in the clouds and dehaze and saturation as possible. Yeah, that's cool. No.
The
But
funniest
yeah,
thing is, like in the episode I literally filmed 2 days ago with a guy called Mike. He's a good friend of Elliot, and that's how we met. And we had this exact conversation that when you start, nearly every single person starting, unless they went like through like photography school or anything like that, puts too much dehaze in their sky
yeah,
every time. And like it's to the point now that I look at some of my images in the past and just laugh. And I've had people before be like, "Why do your skies look better than mine?" I'm like, "Turn your dehaze down." Before I can
yeah,
even see the image, I'm like, "Have you just turned your dehaze down?" They're like, "Oh, I've only put it up." I'm like, "Are you above like 6 or 7?"
yeah,
Because
yeah,
sometimes sky detail good, but past like you shouldn't be double figuring that unless something crazy is happening.
yeah,
Often now I go the other way. Now I'm like -10 because I'm trying to achieve that
yeah.
where I'm
I'll
like,
go the complete opposite way nowadays, and a lot of times I will even bump up the exposure in the sky a little bit.
mhm,
I will, um, you know, just try to make sure that the sky is obviously helping.
Yeah.
instead of being an aid instead of like when I was doing that saturation thing in the sky. I vividly remember having a thought um, of this being some kind of excuse for the crime I was committing on my photos. I was like, no, the sky is part of the subject. The sky is a subject. Ridiculous.
I
I'm
like
trying
how
to
you
show you
called it a crime.
some avant garde thing. Like I'm doing something nobody's ever done before. Yeah,
I like how you called it a crime.
it was a crime. Yeah, this
It is.
actually this picture I mentioned earlier that I had gone back and re-edited some pictures that I had taken. This is one of them. This is the second version of that picture. The first one was just great, ridiculous saturation, and it looked like the thing about TV shows based in Mexico or Latin America, where
Yeah, 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 yeah.
they just warm it up and make it look like you have sunglasses on outside. That's how this picture looked, and it was terrible. I had to do something about it.
It's mad. Well, I'm glad you did because it's fantastic.
Me too.
So we're now moving to a third one. I love this image. I have no idea what's going on, but I love it. I love it for so many different reasons, which I will get into. But I want you to tell me about it first of all.
Yeah, this is a rodeo. Um, this is at the Minnesota State Fair. Here in Minnesota, the state fair is taken quite seriously. Every year, it's a big, big deal, and it's exactly what you think it is. It's rides and neon colors everywhere and attractions and just the most. It's every American stereotype there is for like a week or 10 days or something like that. Um, it's we're not helping ourselves with the stereotypes when it comes to the Minnesota State Fair, but it is a blast. It is so much fun. We go every year, and every year they just have that. There's a million things going on. Like it's literally the size. It's huge. It's square miles big, just full of
Yeah.
different things, and a state fair, especially in a state like Minnesota, we're a very agricultural state. A lot of farming here and a lot of
Mhm.
um, that sort of thing. And so that's a big part of the state fair too. Um, and going back to like this Americana thing that I was talking about earlier, I missed this like so much during
Yeah.
my time in Europe. This is like real like um, beautiful like American culture that it made like a rodeo. I don't care about a rodeo, to be honest with you, but it's something that we have that really no one else does.
Yeah.
You know, um, to my knowledge, anyway. Canada does it too, but we're very similar. Um,
Yeah.
but you know, getting to going in there, I had no idea what I was walking into. There's this big arena. This is it in the middle of the kind of campus for the state fair. My girlfriend and I were walking around. We were just looking for something to do. We went inside and there was this huge rodeo going on, and I was like, oh, I had my camera with me, thank God. And I had very recently gotten back to the U.S. from Spain. Um, this is exactly what I was looking for. And this picture, it was taken like I guess during a break or something like that. They had to bring out this tractor to kind of I guess re-rake the dirt or something like that. And then
Yeah.
I got really lucky and noticed that there was this I guess cowboy. I don't know what his position with the rodeo is, but we'll call him a cowboy. Just bored, already did his job.
Yeah.
um, just resting on this barrel. And I got two angles of this picture. I got a landscape and a portrait, but I really preferred the landscape because you can see everything going on. And
Mhm.
my goal with this one was to make it. I had not yet ventured into film, but I had been starting to really, really appreciate the film look.
Yeah.
And I mean, like with me and my kind of love for like this Americana thing I'm talking about,
Mhm.
film just kind of made sense
Yeah. Yeah,
for
mate. I see that.
for that sort of like aesthetic or whatever. So I wanted to make this look as filmy as possible. I may have used a James Popsis filter on this. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I bought all of his filters. Um, but like this one's just really cool. It's you know, it's just a really cool American thing that I really appreciate. And the state being at the state fair, being in Minnesota, this is such a beautiful state with so much cool stuff, so much to offer. Um, it just like yeah, that one kind of warms my heart in a very similar way to the truck picture in Africa.
And this photo and also the last one, again, like definitely confirms what I mentioned earlier about how photography, the subject of it is often like the grandness of a place you're in. Because when you look at this, first of all, the very first thing you think is like, that is a huge area
Mm-hmm.
where this thing is happening. Like you're seeing all the lighting, you get that nice curvature running around the edge of the image where like obviously it's the white borders running around, which is nice because it kind of like helps the yellow barrel and the tractor stand out more than if there was like a different color or anything behind it. You get that like bleed off into the shadows of people like in like I guess like bleachers or whatever. But because you don't really see it end too much, it just you just know it goes back, like it adds to help with that scale, and you can't see anything past the lights. So again, you don't really know the scale of up. You can just see where the lights are. But there are my favorite thing about this is there's like a perfect triangle of subjects
Mm-hmm.
in the center, and they are all doing different things with the same color and same barrel. One clearly is like at the process of either like filling it up or doing something with it in the tractor. The other guy looks like he's dragging it off. And as you say, the guy in the front looks like he's just had enough and
Yeah.
he's like, I don't need to be doing this anymore. And having like having that like perfect triangle of that with the back set of I mean, like when I zoom in, I can see just how many people are like walking in through all the different archways behind in the image. Having that as like your backdrop helps again with the scale. You see it's massive, you see some people in the middle of the thing, you see all these extra little subjects. When you get to look at the image more, you think, Jesus, I can literally see like potentially 500 people just through those doorways. They're all there either for that or for something related to it. And it just adds to that general like grand scale that you're like portraying through the image. But yeah, my favorite thing is definitely the dude with the hat just had enough.
Yeah.
just,
Just
just
bored,
leaving.
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
It helped too that I mean it was lit. It was somewhat professionally,
Yeah.
lit. So that didn't hurt. And another thing too that I found was this picture reminded me a lot of pictures that I've seen from really old. I say really old. That'll hurt some people's feelings, but uh, like late 20th century like basketball games. You
Mhm.
see pictures of Jordan in the 80s and 90s and he's a lot of times they were playing in really old arenas. Like a lot of those arenas are gone now and that's big state of the art, crazy stuff. Um, but like back then it was just like old light bulbs cost, arm and a leg and they made noise and you know it taking this picture felt like I was in one of those old felt like it was 40 years ago and Jordan was in the building or it was a hockey game where Gretzky was playing and like just felt like when you walk in this building it's like that like there's no 21st century technology in this building at all. Everything is older, and you feel that when you walk in. It's similar to how it must feel going to like a football game at a really old ground in England. Like I think Fulham has like a really old stadium. I think I'm not
I'm the
sure.
worst person to ask that because my
Okay,
understanding of football is pretty low. So I'll just take whatever you say at face value and we'll see people hate us in the comments.
sure, that's okay. But anyway, it felt like that. It feels like a time capsule. I really like taking pictures that feel like a time capsule, I guess.
Yeah. I That's literally perfect because I think definitely in the last episode, maybe in Elliot's episode, and maybe another one, I mentioned that I love an image where you can't quite pin down the like decade it was taken in. And this is one of those images. Like, this could have been taken yesterday, or it could have been taken in like 1980s. Like,
Mhm.
partly there's two reasons. One, because of where you're at, because of the kind of lighting, and because you're not seeing any tech there that is like, other than the guy at the front is probably the biggest giveaway just because of the way he's dressed.
Yeah.
When you first look at the image, there's nothing there that like screams I was taken 1 year ago or 5 months ago. But also the way that you've edited it and like the colors that have been pulled through on that edit really, because again, you've gone for that more filmic kind of vibe, helps to add to that because it could have, with images like this, you're looking at it like, right, well, it could have been at any point because back then it was shot on film. Like everything was shot on film.
Yeah.
And I think if you'd edited it any other way, it'd still be a great image, but it wouldn't portray that like, I don't know exactly when this was taken kind of like mystery, which I think is really nice when you take images like this.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Um, Another thing too, I'm just now noticing, um, like with the tractor, the wheels and the kind of tank that it's
Mhm.
carrying behind it, they match up really well. And
They
another
do, yeah.
thing, it's a John Deere tractor, which I don't know how much you know, not about tractors, but just about like John Deere is a very iconic brand here in the
Mhm.
United States. Like you think of farming, you think of John Deere. Like this tractor could have been anything. I don't know. It just that kind of like wraps it up for me, where it like could not feel more of this brand of American. American means a lot of different things,
Yeah.
but this is certainly, I think, I'm proud to say, I think it's certainly like a really good capture of one very specific brand or branch of that. You know,
Yeah. No, I'd agree. I'd fully agree. I think like if you told me to think about if you told me to get like describe this kind of scene, I'd describe a lot of the things that are in this photo.
yeah.
So I think it's been captured perfectly. So
Thanks.
for the third time, good work, sir. You just send me every photo you take now. I'm like, tell me I've done a good job. I'm
Yes,
like,
please. You're gonna have about 10,000 DMs here in a second. I'm just gonna fly through.
I'm like, oh god, I'll be at the gig with my friend later, being like, hang on, mate, I'm nearly done. I'm just saying good work 10,000 times.
Evan keeps sending me pictures.
I shouldn't have started this. So I'm going to do my favorite part of images is my favorite part, but a very favorite part of the podcast. I'm going to quick fire some questions to you
Okay.
and get your thoughts. So, if you were stuck with only one kind of lens for the rest of your future, would it be prime or zoom lenses?
It would be Prime. I sort of answered that question. I kind of spoiled that one at the beginning.
Yeah, I kind of knew what the answer was going to be.
Yeah.
Uh, black and white or color?
Color, but a good black and white picture is hard to beat. But I prefer color.
Cool. Sunrise or golden hour?
Golden hour.
This is the one. See, this is the one where people know they want to say prime or zoom. People know they want to say black and white or color. I say this one, and everyone goes, um.
Yeah.
But yeah, golden hour would be my choice too.
I'm a big, big golden hour fan. It just tastes so good, you know. It doesn't get better. But you mixed it up. I've noticed on previous episodes you've asked about blue hour. You said
Yeah,
sun
the very first one.
blue hour.
The very first one, I asked
Okay.
about blue hour.
Yeah. If that were the question, I would say sunrise, no question.
Okay. Yeah. On the
Golden
very first one, I said blue hour. And then I was like, nah, I think the harder question for people is sunrise or golden hour. So I was like, I'll change it up. So that's why all the rest have been this.
Yeah. No,
See, this right here is proof that you have watched previous podcast episodes.
I'm a fan.
Yes. Someone's got to be.
Well, well done. Good job. If I could.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I got one back. And if money was no object, what would be your dream camera or your dream setup?
This is the hardest one. This one made me the most nervous. I don't know. Like I said, I'm probably the least competent technically out of anybody you've had so far. So I don't know anything about uh, megapixels or I know very little about like full form, medium format, full frame, and like all of these types of things. Um, so
The thing is, I'll make it easier for you. So it doesn't need to be. You don't have to be able to describe technically or anything like that what would be your perfect camera.
all right.
What I like to
Um,
hear from people can be down to just like the way a camera design would work for you, or like form factor compared with like certain focal lengths that you love. Like if you had a perfectly pocketable like 35 or 40 mil, like those kinds of things. Like, and if a camera you don't know of a camera that exists, I mean, I've
make
had
one.
people just make one up.
Yeah,
So obviously, it just for me, I love to hear like what would be like perfect for you.
something similarly built to this, like Fuji comes to mind. I've
Hmm.
wanted a Fuji for a long time. Um, I love the design of like old film cameras. I like the ones with the stainless steel a lot, and I like the amounts of the buttons and the switches and all of that stuff you can mess around with.
Yeah.
Um, something kind of in that range, like a Fuji, you know, X100, X100V or something like that.
Hmm.
That would definitely before I got really into sports and knew I had to like get all of this stuff. I was really interested in buying a Fuji and um, definitely will someday. But
I
something
mean, you
something
should.
Fuji for sure. You know, I know
I
you're a
mean,
big
yeah. I mean, like right here, there. That's my X100,
yeah,
and I love it.
exactly what I'm talking about. I love the idea too that they, you know, the recipes.
Hmm.
That's so cool. You
Yeah.
know, like it's
It's.
such a perfect mix of digital and film. It's
I.
so
I. I. I bought this camera on a whim because it was super cheap. It's the original. It's the very first one. Um, and I love it. Like I've made very little changes to it. I put like a UV filter over the top just to make sure that the lens is safe. I had a friend 3D print like a thumb grip on the back for me.
that's cool.
Um, I have this 50 mil teleconverter adapter that just screws on if I take off this, so I can have it as a 50 mil instead of a 35. But this camera has been to a few different countries with me now. It's what I take out when I just want to be like creative. I've said in other episodes now that I love my Sony gear, but it kind of feels soulless when I shoot with it. But
Hmm. Yeah,
this, like, I put it in my hand and I'm like, even now, I'm like, I want to go out. Like the
yeah,
moment I've like, it's I think based on what you just said, you're quite like a tactile feel like photographer, like I am as well. The ability to like click through the aperture ring, click through the EV, and like change anything I want and like feel that move around. It's
hmm
just really good. And also, I love the hybrid viewfinder where I can shoot through the EVF or I can shoot through the OVF, and it's completely like up to me on how I want to do it. Get
yeah.
one,
I
definitely get
definitely
one.
will at some point. Everything about it is so cool. I like that there's like this sort of not underground, but this like thing of people where they'll make their own recipes
Hmm.
and show people how to make them and stuff like that. But I
Yeah, yeah.
think having like you said, sometimes like cameras, like you said, can kind of feel a little soulless, you
Hmm.
know. Sorry about the light on my face, by the way. The sun's moving.
That's right.
Um, but like this, just you use it, you pick it up, and you want to use it immediately. But
Yeah,
there's some like I've seen doing sports now. I've seen where there's just like these monstrous boxes, these big, huge Canons and Nikons and everything like that. And
yeah,
there's obviously those are great. They produce some of the best images in the world, but like I don't know. I like having a little guy. Um, you know, it is really nice for me. And like what you said about that one, these cameras become like, you know, friends. You've taken it to different countries, you've had all these experiences, and this guy was right here, you know, with you the whole time, helping.
Yeah.
helping document and make memories and things like that. And that's one of the best parts. You grow attachments to these little boxes of plastic, and metal, and
Literally, yeah.
it's cool.
Cameras just become an extension of yourself, and it's like the best feeling ever when you find a camera that does that. Something that just sits in your hand and you kind of forget it's there. You know what you're doing. You don't have to look down. You just change things, bring it to your eye, done. Like
Yeah.
that's when you know you've got a good camera in your hand. It's
hmm
madness.
Yeah. And I go back and forth with, I don't know if you do this. Sometimes I go back and forth with whether my favorite part is actually taking the picture or editing the picture later on. Um,
Oh, I know. I know. For me, it's taking. It's always taking.
yeah.
I like editing, but like it feels sometimes. Sometimes I really enjoy it. Sometimes it just feels like a necessary evil.
Yeah.
Um, but my favorite is always taking. Like whether I'm by myself or I'm with my girlfriend, who I said in the last episode has kind of developed the same eye for what I look for. So like I'll be out with her and I'll be looking this way, and she'll tap me on the shoulder and be like that, and I'll turn around and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for.
My girlfriend does the
Um,
same thing.
yeah,
She's
it's so crazy, isn't it? They just learn. Like non-photography people, just this is why it's so clear that like anyone can pick up photography and get better at it,
Mhm.
because the people that aren't even interested in the taking of the photos can develop the eye that you have
Yeah.
just by being around you.
Yeah. I've told her you
Mad.
should do it. You should try it. She took this one not too long ago. She has a way cooler job than I do. Way cooler. She works at a circus, like a
Oh wow,
real
yeah, that is way cooler.
real circus.
Yeah.
And they were having, I don't remember if it was a show that they did or some big event that they're always doing something. They have one today. But she needed to take pictures. And so I brought this one out. She's not going to use my new one. Crazy. But anyway, I brought this one out, and whoops, and the 35,
Yep.
and I just kind of ran her through it in 5 minutes, and that was that. She took amazing pictures that they put on the website and everything, and she had a lot of fun with it.
I I wish Sarah would do that. I will buy her a camera one day, and it will just get dusty. And I know that's going to happen, but I'll still try anyway.
Sure, of course.
So we've mentioned Instagram a bunch of times. Tell people where they can find you on the internet.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Evan Bulber Photography. I need to find, that's my first name, last name, photography. I need to find a catchier handle. I've thought about that a bunch. I have a website as well. It's where I put all my like travel stuff. Right now it's evanbulberphotography.pickfair.com. I use Pickfair for my website, and it does a really good job. So right now it's Evan Bulber Photography at pickfair.com. It used to
Cool.
just be evanbulberphotography.com, but I guess I missed a payment or something like that. So now it's back to the .pickfair.com. I'll change it back at some point. Um, but yeah, that's where you can find my work.
Perfect. I mean, I'll put them all the links and everything in the description anyway. But yeah, it's I'm glad we got to do this. Like it's
Me too.
been a while that we've been talking, but never like this.
I know.
We should definitely do this again without the podcast. And thanks for just being a good guest.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, man. Thanks for doing this. This has been a real treat. I guarantee I'll be back to England one day. I love the UK, love Europe, so I'll be back over there. We should meet up. Brighton looks beautiful. You're in Brighton,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
I'm near. Yeah, I'm literally like a 15-minute train away. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That looks like a beautiful city. I would love to shoot it one day. If you're ever in the cold Midwest here, let me know. We'll have you over. We'll shoot some stuff. It'll be fun.
I'm absolutely down for that. I will take a photo of every single lake. I'll be there for years.
Yeah. You don't have time. There's not enough lifetimes.
But yeah, as I say, thank you so much for being a guest. It's been a real good chat. There's been some great photography. And to the people watching at home, thank you very much for watching another podcast or listening. And I'll catch you in the next one.